Well, Colin, Rod, thanks for taking the time to have a bit of a chat and to clear one or two things up. Obviously, it's been another eventful day in what's been a difficult sort of 12 months or so, really. Chairman, could we just get your thoughts on obviously the events of today?
Yeah, difficult as they always are. The conversations that we've had in the last 24 hours really have ended with obviously the departure of our head coach, Dave Hockaday, by mutual agreement. It's not something that's been taken lightly by both parties, I don't think. I think it's something that has materialised over the last probably 6 or 7 games. We had great intent when we made the appointment, and I think on both parts. And I think that there's a frustration between both parties, and I think that frustration has probably ended up resulting in the decision that we've both taken. I think it materialised from the Stourbridge game, the second game that we played, where obviously a lot of frustration was expressed on certainly on the head coach's side, and I think the subsequent 6 games thereafter, we feel that we haven't progressed the way we thought we would, and I think there's no hiding from the fact that we're bottom of the league. We're trying to gain as many points as we can in order to try and stay in the national conference, and we just felt, and I think the frustration on both parts was we weren't getting where we want to be. We still want to have a right go, and we still want to be in a position to be able to do that, and to do that we felt that we needed to make that change again, and it's not a nice decision to make at any time, but I think it's the right one for the football club going forward. And
you can understand, I'm sure, the frustrations of supporters in to the outside world. Again, it's more upheaval than in a season full of upheaval. Really, it's more change. It's more perhaps confusion. It's more difficulty. Was it sort of unavoidable for you? Do you think?
I think we've got to keep looking at the bigger picture, and I think that's something that Colin I'm sure will probably expand on. You've got to keep looking at the bigger picture. 2015 as a year, as a 12-month period, is probably one of the worst experiences for the football club for if ever, and it's been a very, very difficult time. And we've had to look at it firstly as a commercial entity, as the long-term future of the club, and secondly that has impacts on the football side in many different ways, which really, Colin, I think you can allude to in terms of the impact it's had even since the time that we've both been here from a football side.
Yeah, confidence drains, and obviously we are looking now to rebuild confidence and try and pick the lads up that find themselves in the position that they're in, and our roles and responsibilities are exactly that. The football results over the last 12 months have been disastrous. And it's very difficult to start again, but that's what we intend to do. We're starting a new year, and hopefully this calendar year, will be far better than the one we just left behind.
And how do you settle players who have listened to sort of 6 or 7 different sets of instructions this season over the course of different management structures, if you like? Because it must be a confused dressing room at the moment.
Confused is a good word. Clarity. I think we have to basically make sure that there are simple messages that are easily followed, and that's what we'll need to do. Whether we're getting that message across or not will be judged on the terraces, and people will be able to see. And I think that where we feel that we haven't made the progress is perhaps we are looking at an element of confusion at the moment for a number of reasons, and not just the head coach, for a number of reasons, and we have a clear message. We just have to have one purpose and one clear message, and that will be the role from now on. And talk is pretty cheap. We can say we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and we're going to do the other, but you'll only see those results on the pitch, and if they're not there, then people deserve to criticise and people deserve to be concerned. We can only assure people that we'll be doing everything we can to put a better product on the pitch for them to see and to enjoy. And if that product produces performances and results and points, then hopefully we'll retain our status. If it doesn't, then we've let people down. We want to see an improvement. It's as simple as, and we felt that perhaps we weren't seeing the improvement that we would have hoped to have seen in the period of the coach that was in, the head coach that was in over the last period.
And you feel that not solely done for this reason, but these changes are designed in part to give us a better shot of retaining that status? Because I guess at the moment it looks a bit of a forlorn situation.
I think we need to accept also that the frustration of the head coach. You know, it's a two-way street, and I think that, you know, it's a very, very difficult job at the moment. It really is. And historically, Kidderminster have been one of the major powers in the league, and at the moment financially we certainly aren't. Football-wise, we certainly aren't. And so it's a very difficult job. It's a very frustrating job, and so, you know, we have to understand that the head coach felt that it was more than difficult for him to achieve what we were wanting, and therefore we arrived at the decision that we did. But we have to believe that we can improve. We have to believe that we can escape the problems we're in, and we have to believe there's a better and brighter way.
Do you believe we can do that? If by doing that, I mean staying in this division, is it possible?
It's obviously possible. It's more than possible. I think, you know, you look for inspiration, you look for people in this position. You probably look at Leicester City last year and look at where they are and what they've achieved. You'd argue that probably, well, player for player, all the rest of it, but they found a belief, and they found a will, and they found a desire to grind it out result by result and point by point, and then in the end they comfortably survived. So it's not unheard of to be in our position and get out of the troubles that we're in, and that's what we're desperately trying to do.
And it's quite obvious, and you'd like to make obvious, that it's still very much the aim to do that. You've said and made it quite clear that everyone at the club would certainly be playing Conference North football next season over the club not existing. I don't think there's a supporter that would disagree with that, but obviously the main aim, if possible, is to stay up.
We can't keep talking about that. Everybody knows now, it's well documented that we had problems. We are close to overcoming those problems, but we want to win football matches now. I think once you put the work in to establish the business and the building blocks for the business to progress, then at the end the product is what goes on Saturday afternoon over the white line, and we have to put that right now. At the end of the day, our supporters pay their money. They're entitled to vote with their feet, or they're entitled to criticise through whatever media they feel necessary. I haven't got a problem with that at all, and what we need to be able to do is to make them believe that, you know, things are turning around, but show them that things are turning around.
How do you do that?
Well, hard work, intelligent work, a togetherness, a unity, and a way of working that can bring results. And again, talk is cheap. We have to show it. We have to do it. You know, every problem. Everybody can shout the rooftops about what's happening, but, you know, there's only one way of putting it right, and we don't have millions of pounds, and so we have to be as good and as smart as we can be. But I know we do need one or two additions to the squad. We're trying to do that, but that alone is not going to make that much of a difference if we don't have a method of playing that brings results.
And it's important for you that if at the end of the season it isn't good enough, as you say, then that's with winning a few games and hopefully going down with 30 or 40 points rather than 20.
We have to show progression. We have to show progression. We have to show improvement. And the daft thing is, the supporters are doubting it because they're not seeing improvement. You know, and as I said in the last interview I did with you, we're not naive. We are seeing what they're seeing, and so we are where we are. We have to put it right. You know, we're seeing the same problems. Great. Now we have to find the solutions. So, you know, we're saying to our supporters, look, if we felt that all of your grievances were unfounded, we would carry on because we thought we were on the right path. But in this instance, we accept your point of view, and therefore we've acted because we've seen the same things that you've been seeing. If in other times we believe, and instances such as Dean Smith at Walsall, where he hadn't won a game for 14 and they'd lost 12, but the manager, the chairman, Jeff Bonser, felt this is the right partnership, and look where they are now. Those instances, you have to be brave, but we're not naive. We've seen what they are seeing, Therefore, we felt we needed to change, and that's where we are. And but we have to change it for positive results rather than change for change's sake. And change for change's sake puts you in a position where the football club is at the moment. What we need to be doing is change for the sake of good and for the sake of progression, and that's what we're looking to do.
Chairman, where does the football club's ultimate aim? Obviously, every club's is in this league to be in the football league. To be there, obviously, we may have to swallow some medicine, if you like. But as a business and as a football club, what do we need to do to get there for you?
Well, you know, there's no magic wand, and our ambition hasn't changed. This is a big football club, and we both feel, and the board feel, that exactly the same as we did earlier on in the season. But the difficulties are, there's no, as I said, there's no medicine or magic wand that suddenly makes it right. If it was that easy to do and get everything right, then everybody would be doing it, and they're not. It's a very difficult situation, and I think Colin alluded to, and it's a good point, is that it's building bricks. It's the foundations of the club have been strengthened without a shadow of a doubt. That this football club is in a stronger position than it was 12 months ago as a football club in terms of a commercial entity. That's my priority, is making sure that there's a long-term future for the football club and the boards as a whole. But what is unfortunate is that the pain that we're suffering is on the football side, and that's what the fans ultimately will pay their money to come and see. You know, I'm incredibly excited about the future, but right now, yeah, it's hard. Right now, this minute, we know that there's lots of things that we need to do. There's lots of good practice that we have to put in. I think a word that we've used in the past, creative. You can't believe how creative Colin's having to be in using all his contacts, using all his experience to try and get the best possible players we can that we think would progress this football club. But it's not easy, because there are people paying a lot of money for players. We're not in that fortunate position. But what we are doing is we're working within the confines of the money that we've got available, and that is a huge difference from what has been in the past. And I think that the fans are frustrated. I can fully understand all that. But what we have got is a future, and I think a very, very optimistic future. But what we've got to try and do is get points on the board now, and you know, hence the reason why we've made that difficult change. And I think we're moving always forward as much as we can, and progression is key word. We felt we'd stunted a little bit. We stunted our progression. We need to keep progressing. Whatever league we're in, at the end of the season, we've got to show that we're moving forward. And I think that in such a way that there is an optimism, and the crowd and the fans can see that.
And in terms of looking forward and not looking back, if in the summer we get, if you like, a clean sheet of paper to start again, because that's not what we had in this summer, is it? It's not what we did have this past summer, did we?
Yeah, no, it's not, and that will be the case this summer. But we've got to get to the end of this summer, and you know, as I say, Colin is already saying that it's been well documented. But I think you cannot lose sight of the massive job there was to do here to get this football club on a level playing field, to use the pun, and that clean sheet. And we're still not quite there yet, but we're nearly there. And that the amount of work that everybody's put in to get to that point, and obviously Colin's financial involvement in terms of the majority shareholding, are all positive steps going forward into putting stability to this football club, putting a foundation to progress. But the football side, you can't snap your fingers and suddenly all these things fit in. It's like it's jigsaw. It's putting all the pieces together to ultimately get the final piece in, which will hopefully be for us for next season. But in the short term, there's a lot of pain from the terraces, and there's a lot of pain and frustration from the coaching side. But I'm totally convinced we're going to get there.
We've talked about, and it's well known about, existing contracts, say to managers, to players who've been here for a good amount of time, who perhaps were signed as part of a bigger playing budget a year or 2 years ago or whatever. How far away from, Colin, are we from starting that again, if you like, and then having that clean sheet? Are we looking perhaps in the summer, or
by the summer we'll be clear of it? But the debt that we've carried has been a huge burden to the club. and that's the problem. We were talking about when the product's been right on the pitch here, no one's really been worried about what's been going on with the finances, and therefore we got ourselves in the position we're in, you know, and the fans are loving it because we're winning and we're competing, we're in playoff positions. But then all of a sudden, when someone has to have a look under the bonnet and realise that, you know, there's not any engine left, we have a problem, and we are there now. And so it's not nice to keep hearing about finances and everything else, but we are carrying a huge burden for this season and for many seasons previous, and they're coming back and biting us in the backside.
If you talk about the playing budget that started the season maybe 2 seasons ago, as a percentage, what amount is taken up now by the players who are actually representing Kidderminster?
They're representing Kidderminster, not out on the outside,
yes.
or probably
It's about a fifth.
Yeah, I would think. Yeah, I would think.
So less than maybe $250,000, less than that.
Oh yeah, less than $250,000, and that's because we're being creative in some of the deals that we're doing, but nonetheless, if we started the next season with the group of players that we have now that are representing the first team squad, then yeah, we'd be a lot less than $250,000, you know. And when some teams' budgets are $2 million in this league, so.
And what have you had to recruit in terms of player quality, if you like, and characteristics to have, for instance, for the sake of rounding it, a £200,000 playing budget to be competing at this level, which in terms of matches,
in general, athleticism. I think that we have to have the ability to compete physically and aerobically, you know. We need to be able to do that, and so that's what we'd be looking to build. And because there's a lot of players in the league that are a good old experienced wise heads who can do a job, but really how far can you go when we do get on a run, and when we get going with a group of people that we'd like to have and like to attract to the club. We want to be able to go and keep going, not go, stop, reinvest, go again, stop, reinvest, go again, but go and keep going. And that's what we look to do. And so you're looking for young and hungry athletes, supplemented by some good experienced players that can help them learn and grow on the pitch. So that's what we're looking to invest in, and then identifying raw talent that we can educate and develop. But players that excite the public, you know, but that from our point of view, we know can carry our brand of football forward and keep going forward. That's what we're looking to do. So that's what £250,000 or whatever it is might represent, you know, and that's what we hope to be able to show the supporters in the near future whenever we get a game on again.
Yeah, can I just say that, just to support what Colin's saying? I think Colin's doing himself an injustice a bit in that it probably isn't £250,000, it's under £200,000 for the current squad, and that in this Conference League is the lowest budget by a long shot.
That being the 18 or 20 players that are representing
currently representing the squad. Yeah. But what we're having to do...
Unfortunately, that's not our budget. Our budget's probably 3 times that.
Exactly, and that's already that money has been committed on having to get out of the situation that we're in. So the working budget, as we call it, the working playing budget, is less than £200,000. To get that in the conference level, the elite of the non-league, is a very, very difficult situation. So I don't want the fans to think that we're not looking at the players that will improve us, but the players that really would make that huge, huge difference are players that are outside the remit of the finances that are available to this club. So you're asking for experience, to use contacts, to try and get some gems, some great technique, young players with high energy to come and develop with us going forward in this current climate. That's where we are just now. It's not necessarily what we will necessarily be doing come the summertime, but it's where we are just now because of the resources that are available. And I think some of the players that we've unearthed are fantastic. And I think that Colin would probably elaborate even more on that. But I think we are doing It's not on paper looking like it's progressive in terms of points, but there are a lot of good things going on within the squad and within players that we've currently got.
I think what we must appreciate as well is that Dave Hockaday found some rare talent. He's very, very well connected, and you know, it's not me that's been finding, you know, the Eltons and the Usnams and people like that who are coming into the club. You know, Dave did some fantastic work on the recruitment. It was non-stop on the phone looking to find gems and you know, people that could come and improve the squad, and so he's got to be given great credit for that. You know, and what we need to be able to do now is to develop that talent, give them the pathway and give them the opportunity, but develop that talent. So Dave's done a brilliant job in bringing some exciting players. Obviously the likes of Ben Whitfield who the crowd love. That's down to good contacts within the game that, you know, we can bring a player in from Bournemouth, and you know, obviously we've got a relationship at West Brom and Carl and people like Carl Atkins and people like that. You know, that's a given, that's what we do, but finding talent from overseas and things like that, which probably not been done before, Dave's been working his socks off, so credit to him for that.
And obviously you can't guarantee it, nothing is a given in football, but with those resources, with what you're looking at working with playing budget wise, the working budget as you called it, between now and the end of the season, what we're looking to do should be impossible, but you think it's doable to at least give it a good go?
We have experience of every team in the league now, and nobody's actually turned us over, barring Forest Green when we were down to 10 men, you know, after 15 minutes. We've been in every game that we've played. So, you know, there's never been put your hands up, so, oh my God, we can't cope with this. But we're wiser. We're not older, we're probably younger, but we're wiser. And so we should be able to cater for it when we come in the return fixtures. And if we don't, then we're not very bright. So, you know, that's our task. Our task is now to use the knowledge we've got with the extra athleticism we've got to be able to see games through and to kill games when we're in a controlling position in games. We've had those chances. We have a chance to turn draws into wins and defeats into draws. If that's enough points, then brilliant. That's exactly what we want. Contrary to popular belief, that's exactly what we want. But we've got the knowledge and experience of it now, and we have to use that to our benefit.
It's giving you a pretty long to-do list in terms of your weekly sort of workload, if you like, in terms of training and matches. You're obviously going to be overseeing team affairs between now and the end of the season. What sort of help are you getting with that?
Kevin Phillips, his assistant, is very intelligent. He's a very good coach. He's very organised, very disciplined, which is great. Scott will be doing a lot more work on the preparation side, and then we'll be bringing in one or two people to supplement some of the work that we'd like to do more of, which is kind of video analysis work, and you know, so a lot of support staff that we'll be able to call favours from rather than having to pay for. So, you know, we know where we want to go, and we've had meetings about what we want to do, and we've spoken to the captain and a couple of the senior players about it as well, and got feedback from them on where they feel that we need to improve as well, because players have got opinions as well, and so we're confident that we can progress and do better.
How would you surmise the players' opinions at the moment?
Players are players, it happens all the time to them. I understand they've given me some private thoughts, and I will keep them private, but I understand where they feel we can improve, and perhaps they feel that we've let them down. It's difficult, you know, hang on, they get professional footballers, they feel let down, you know, people say, well, you're letting us down, but you know, we have to provide everything we can for them to do their jobs to the best of their ability, and that's what we're looking to do.
Although, Chairman, you spent a little bit of time here last season, it's obvious that you both really started this project here, if you like it, in the summer. Looking back then, did you think it would be this difficult and this challenging? Has it been harder than you thought?
There's certainly never been a dull moment here. I mean, you know, it seems to be one thing after another, and I think more things have been unearthed as we've gone along. However, it was always going to be a mammoth task. But myself and the board, I think, can take a lot of pleasure and a lot of satisfaction out of the many positive things that we've turned around over a difficult period, to such an extent that we have got a future, to such an extent that an exciting future going forward as a football club and as an entity and an existence. But yeah, we're frustrated. We want to see winning football teams, and we all do that. Colin and I were both football guys. We both understand the game, but we're also businessmen, and we also understand that you've got to have the foundations for the football club going forward. And I think there's been so much work and so much energy applied in strategy to get that right, because without that bit, you can talk all day about football, but the football club won't exist in the guise it is now. And we're very excited about that going forward, without a shadow of a doubt.
It's obvious that the football club will thrive and will have a bright future, whatever happens between now and April. But you've already both said that you could fully understand that as far as supporters are concerned, the brightness of their football club is what happens on the pitch. So that's I guess what comes next, isn't it, as you've already said?
I think, just before Colin answers that, I just think it's important as well for everybody to recognise is that a new appointment as a head coach going forward is something that we're going to take our time to do. I think it's important that we do that, and maybe, putting our hands up, maybe we should have taken more time the first time when we looked at it, and I think that's something we can learn from, and I think that we're more than capable in the short term to go. It's not something that Colin wants to be doing long term, but I think
so you're talking possibly beyond this season for a head coach?
No, I think we have to have somebody in place probably by the end of the season, because to be fair, I think we don't want to go into whatever league we're going to be in without the manager stroke head coach coming in and understanding what he's got and what he needs to get to progress. But that's quite a few games away, and I don't think, don't get me wrong, the phones are ringing all the time as you would expect, but the reality is I think we're going to take our time on that one.
So is it your view that we will have a head coach in place that would support Colin and sort of be as we have been the last few months, or that Colin, you would take the lead between now and the end of the season with a little bit of support, just to sort of clarify?
Take the lead for now, and with support from Kevin Phillips and the rest of the staff. And we will try and implement our thoughts and ideas to improve the team. That's what we will look to do. If it's good enough, then great, but we will be definitely looking to appoint someone for the long-term good of the club, and hopefully the next person can stay with us for as long as they need to. But if we have a very successful manager, chances are we'll lose him, because people are always looking over your fence.
Yeah.
So, but I don't mind that. You can cope with people being poached to go on to better things, because they have obviously done a good job with you, and that gives us time to prepare the ground for the next one and the next one.
And whether the appointment of a head coach, if we call it that, whether it takes months, you would like that individual to be here for the long term rather than short term.
Absolutely, but believe passionately in the philosophy that we're laying down, the way that we want to be and the way we want to be recognised as a football team, and the way we play as a football team. There's a lot of conjecture about this head coach manager thing. For the matter of record, head coach or manager doesn't really make any difference. Nobody selects the team but the person who is responsible for the team. That is the head coach or manager. It's just a point of reference. It's a name. It's not, you sit here, we'll tell you what to do, go out and put some cones out from Monday to Friday. Mm-hmm. The head coach decided which players were brought in. The head coach decided what the tactics were. The head coach decided what the team was.
And for the avoidance of doubt, that's what's been happening for the last few months as well. You haven't kicked the team over the shoulder.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
No, not at all. Not at all. And of course, I'll go and say, we've got, we can get this player from there and that player from there. It'll be, well, yep, fair enough. We could do with someone in that position. But obviously, I would know that we'd need someone in that position anyway. But we'd have a look at them. And majority of lads that we brought in, we've had the opportunity to play and trial in 21s games and look at in coaching sessions. There's a very, very few that we've actually just bought in from other clubs because we thought they were suitable. So, but nobody's been told who to pick and who to choose. So if your title's head coach, manager or chief bottle washer, if you're responsible for team affairs, that's what you are, and that's the way it will always be. And so I understand there's always that confusion about traditional manager stroke head coach.
But the head coach or the manager is the boss, basically.
The boss. That's the way it is. Alex Ferguson was a manager, Brendan Rodgers is a head coach, Steve McLaren's a head coach, Arsene Wenger's a manager. You know, it doesn't really make any difference. They all still pick the team, they all still choose the players, and they are still responsible for what goes on the pitch on a Saturday afternoon. It's just a name, a term of reference, and we're getting hung up on this, who picks the players, who picks the team, who does what. Nonsense. One thing that we are and will be and will strive to be better at is a completely open book for our supporters. Ask us a question, we'll answer. Come and see us, we'll tell you straight. Come and see us, we'll show you. Come with us, we'll take you to training, we'll take you in the dressing room. Come and see us where possible. We will be a complete open book. There are no closed corners, closed books at this club.
Well, there have been before. I mean,
before
before your time, there have been, so you can understand the supporters.
Well, that's why,
reticence
with all
to
due
that.
respect, people have to form independent supporters trusts, right? Because of the suspicion of the boardroom. Now, what we're saying is, there's nothing to support an independent supporters trust other than it's established. They play a massive part on our board, which is great, but any supporter is entitled to ask us a question. Any supporter is entitled to send us an email. Any supporter is entitled to pick up the phone. Any supporter is entitled to grab us in the bar and say, what about this? Any supporter. There is nothing to hide. We're in the process at the moment of doing a financial recce of the football club, and we will be open and honest with the football club, with the football supporters, and say, this is the cost of bad practice. This is the cost that we've had to suffer. This is the burden that we've had to overcome. This is the way we're going to go forward. This is the revenue that we're going to generate. And hopefully we can say to our supporters, from now on, this percentage of our revenue is going into the playing budget, but we're not going to be so foolhardy as to throw more, a stupid percentage of income at the playing budget, knowing that we're going to be leaving problems for ourselves or for others further down the line.
That's right, yeah.
Because
Where we've been in the past, we must have been up to 80-90% of turnover, let alone profit, going into the playing side.
that's nearly £1 million.
That is nearly £1 million.
That's exactly where it was.
And that's turnover, not profit, because the profit on that £1 million is a fraction. Because in this industry, we're not, it's not like my old industry where you put two people together and you take a cut, there's no cost base. There's a cost base to most things that we do. The price of beer is, we don't get to keep the £3.50 of a price of beer. We get to keep £1.75 of a price of beer. So there's a huge cost base that people haven't taken into consideration. You know, when we put a match on, we've got to cover costs on stewarding, we've got to cover costs on staff, we've got to cover costs on referees, we've got to cover costs on travel, we've got to cover costs on everything. So if we turn over £1 million, we're not making £1 million profit. So how on earth are we spending £800,000-900,000 on wages?
In any other business other than football, it wouldn't happen. It wouldn't happen.
Why does it happen in football as a broad point?
It's an emotion. It's down to sentiment and emotion and passion, and that's what drives. Some of the most successful businessmen in the world lose money at football, and currently lose money at football. You only have to look at
Some of them can afford to.
You know.
Some of them can't.
Some of them won't.
Yeah.
Simple as.
Yeah.
Some of them won't. You know, I'm involved for a reason. There's a huge opportunity here. But I will tell you straight, our turnover is X, our investment into the team is going to be Y, and anything over that is just stupid and foolhardy, and we're not going there. So if that means that we're not as successful as people want us to be, well, let's try and get 5,000 more fans in through the gate. We can put more in, or go and generate more revenue from somewhere else, and we can put more in. Yeah. But if we give a simple formula that says we will spend X% of our profit on salaries, and we show more profit than we're spending on the pitch, then everybody can come and knock the door. But that's going to be the formula going forward, and that's what we're battling to get at the moment. And when we get to that position, open book policy, nothing to hide. I don't understand why in this world people are undisclosed transfer fees, or nobody knows what Wayne Rooney earns, or nobody knows what Alex Ferguson earns, or whoever. It's sport, it belongs to the people. There are great examples in the States with the NFL where everybody's salary is open to anybody.
Disclosed, isn't it?
It's disclosed. I want to get to a position where players are embarrassed about people knowing what they earn. Why? Why?
Can that happen in this country?
Of course it can happen. Why can't it happen? You know, every cost of this football club and every amount that we spend should be a matter of our supporters' record, knowledge. And then we avoid the mistakes that we've had. Then there's no need for people, I know I'm not being disrespectful to the Supporters Trust, I understand that Bolton have just established one now, absolutely 100% right thing to do, because they've been completely kept in the dark. We have got to open up the light and keep our supporters in the light.
And we've tried to do that through the duration of this season as best we can. And in most cases we have done. But can I just say at this point as well, we have sustained, we're bottom of the league, we've only ever once not been bottom of the league, and we've sustained an average fan base of 1,500 people. That is a phenomenal achievement, a phenomenal, and it represents how big this football club really is, and the passion that the community has for this football club, and their support. We can't thank them enough, because could you imagine if we hadn't had that, and they had voted with their feet, and it dropped to 300 people every home game? It would have made our job that much harder. It's helped so much, the support in every aspect that we do in terms of events going on in the club. You cannot fault it. And what we're trying to establish is that open policy, so that we sustain those people that deserve it, and then hopefully, if going forward we can get the philosophy right, get the football structure right that we want, then hopefully we can add to that, and that's our objective.
And to use your point and to use your phrase, when I see tweets and emails and messages saying at the moment with the form of the team and everything else, I'm not going to go and watch Harriers anymore, I've been going 30 years but I've had enough. When you say we see what you see, that's what you mean, isn't it?
Absolutely, 100%, I understand it. But if you know that you turn up and pay your money on Saturday afternoon, but you know pretty much where your money's going to be spent, and you know exactly what you're buying into, and the product's not right, then we're not doing our job right, and you can point the finger absolutely at us and say you're not doing your job right.
Yeah.
And that's when we'll actually walk away or pass it on to someone else. But we've got to get to that position yet, and I'm promising everybody, every supporter that we've got, who've been phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal, that we will be absolute open book. There is nothing to hide whatsoever. And some things might need justification, but I'm quite willing to sit with people and tell them why certain decisions were made. If it's a mistake, it will be a genuine mistake.
You can, with that everyone knows all policy, leave yourself open to that criticism, but you're happy with that?
Well, I've been dealing with it for a long time, and in my world it's either grossly incompetent or absolutely corrupt. So that's my world, that's my background. I want to take away any element of doubt, that it's
and make sure that we're neither of those things.
Honest, genuine mistake, if mistakes are made. We're sitting here, can you say we haven't made mistakes? Of course we're not, because we're sitting here to justify what we've just done. We've made mistakes. The only thing about mistakes that shouldn't happen is that you should never learn from them. And we've got to learn and move on. And I'm learning all the time, the chairman's learning all the time. We're new to this side of it. We're not new to the business of football, but I can't understand for the life of me why we would keep such a loyal fan base, and a tremendous fan base, so completely and utterly in the dark. I just don't understand why. Goes back to my original point.
It must feel like a bit of a thankless task for you, because let's be honest, I see you about the place every day. You've spent a lot of time here, you spent a lot of time here, you've now spent a lot of money here and had very little in return by way of satisfaction. So how do you keep that drive?
Every day is rewarding. in its own right, and you know, so because you know what you actually are trying to achieve. When you get there, you've still got to drive on, but at least you can actually appreciate the good times more because of what we're going through. But if you actually lose belief that you can get to the good times, then that's the time to get me golf clubs back out again and go and start walking my dogs. But that ain't happening. I'm in here first, or as early as most people, and last to leave, as we can find out now. I'm loving what I'm doing because there's a purpose and there's a belief that we are going to get it right.
Even though at the moment, on the pitch at least, it hasn't gone well. You still...
Yeah, but we weren't naive. And the point is, if you hope things are going to go okay, invariably hope will kick you in the backside. You've got to make sure that things go okay. And if the mistakes have been made and there's been that element that we've hoped things will get better, and when they haven't, let's not get disillusioned here. I hear the fans, I understand the fans, and in this instance, I agree, right? And we all agree.
That's why we're having this conversation.
Absolutely. But in the future, if they're wrong and they're banging their feet, we'll be brave and we will see it through. But in this instance, we've listened, but we didn't need to listen because we were seeing what they were seeing, and therefore we are where we are. And so if people feel, oh well, it's justification for whatever frustrations they've had, well, we saw what your frustrations were and we acted. But in future, if we need to be brave and strong, we'll be brave and strong. We're not a group of people that are going to pander to people who are going to put pressure on, but we understood absolutely everybody's concerns.
Because they were valid.
Because they were valid. And because they were valid, because we felt that to progress, we needed to make some decisions.
I think both Colin and I, one thing we have in common, and it's something that's inherent in both our backgrounds, is we're both massive winners. We've always been winners. We've both played the game. We've both been involved in businesses that have worked well, and we haven't come here to fail. This is a project that we intend to succeed at, but there's no pain without a gain, and we're going through certain elements of pain of trying to restructure this football club. I don't see it failure at all, and I know sitting at the bottom of the league, you could look at it and say that is failure, but failure is the club going out of existence, and that's where the club was probably 6 months ago. And to me, we've already had a fantastic success. We've already succeeded in certain areas that are critical to the football club. It's the football side that we've got to try and succeed with next.
It'd be nice to get a game on, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would, but it's not bad news,
yeah,
because it gives you time to work with the new guys and to get obviously your thoughts and chat opportunities across. So I don't see it as a bad thing at the moment. It would be a bad thing if it was a home game, because that hurts. That hurts financially. That hurts, and we're still in that position where, goodness, if the game against Cheltenham at home had been off for any reason, we would have been really in a mess.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what we've got to get away from. Yeah. That's what we've got to get away from. We're almost counting the crowd, sat down, worrying what it's going to be and whether that new idea with the bar over there is working, or the bus is working there, or how many's in the pub, and we've got to get away from that.
And you want to be in a position to have more freedom to do those things rather than worrying about whether they're going to succeed necessarily.
We want to be in a position where we know basically at the start of the season that we are fine. What a great position that would be. Be
nice to
that
have
we are
success.
fine. We don't know at the moment whether at the start of the month we're fine.
How are we now today, if you like, financially?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Could be better. A couple of things we're hoping, that can come off, but we're okay. We're okay.
A measure of where we are is that this since the start of this season, the playing staff have been paid every month, without question. And that's a big
And
difference.
everybody else.
And everybody else.
Yeah, and
that's a big difference.
HMRC and the VAT and everybody else is on time. And you look at other clubs who are, being bailed out by PFA and thing. Invariably, it's HMRC or VAT. The worst thing you can do is muck about with those guys. Everybody, the bills are being paid, and some slower, some quicker. But that's what we're looking to do. And we're looking now if we are in a position to really clear the decks completely, and clear the decks completely. And never get in a position where we owe people again. If I pay for a service, what's the problem when we pay for it, rather than have it, put in a bill in. If I have a hotel room, can I not pay for the hotel room? Unfortunately, not here. That seems to be the way. Well, we're kidding, Mr. Harriers. Why should we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've mentioned about.
We'll leave that for someone else.
We've mentioned about the fans and their loyalty throughout this difficult season, which has been huge. You can't put a price on how important that is. But the commercial activity we've had at this club and the positivity of support of the community involved in the initiatives that we've taken, equally is as important. Now, if you consider both of those issues were at question last season, the commercial activity wasn't happening. The initiatives we've taken recently with the bus and putting the bar in the East Stand and all the various other aspects that have been going on have all been received extremely well and supported extremely well. And if we hadn't had either of those things, the problem would be monumental. So it is a team thing. It's a community-based project. The club is part of the community, and we want to try and raise that profile. But you can only do that when you've got a level playing field, to use the pun, as I said.
Of a healthy and vibrant full-time football team and football club, I guess.
We'll remain full-time.
Yeah.
We'll remain full-time because it's the right thing to do. It's the right thing to be. Kidderminster's supporters and community
Is it not a risk?
No, not at all. Not at all. No, how do we develop talent if we can't work with them every day? If you want a 28-year-old, 29-year-old builder turning up for training Tuesdays and Thursdays and then going out and doing what he does as a hobby, or do you want a professional footballer trying to give his all to progress and benefit him and his club? We'll be a full-time football club. That's what we are. We're a professional football club. We've not been professional in the sense that we pay people. We've not been overly professional with regards to the way we conduct ourselves. That we've got to put right.
But don't forget, being a professional football team and the cost of that, the cost that we're going to have for next year will be less than probably half the league. If it was in the league below, in the Conference North, it would be probably less than that budget. So why would we want to go part-time if that was the case? There would be no advantage in it. This is a big club. The potential to go forward is massive. So we have to sustain that full-time basis.
And conversely, I wouldn't ask you to put a round figure now on what next year's playing budget will be if we were a National League side, but you're comfortable that would be enough at least to have a go next year and be competitive?
I don't think that really there would be a lot of difference, because what we'd lose on the swings we'd gain on the roundabouts.
That's right.
We know what initiatives we're putting in for next season. What I'm saying is, if this football club starts to make the masses of profit and we are not investing the right percentage into the team, then people can start looking at the board and myself and saying, what are you actually in this for? Because we're doing far better than we're actually paying out. Something's going on. We will put the formula down that says that is the way we're going to work for the next however many years, and we're not going to break that, because if we break that, then we're going to break the club. We're not going to go down that route again. So if we turn over £3 million next year and we can afford a budget of 2 million, then we'll have a budget of 2 million, right? So that's the way the football club will be. But will we waste it on jobbing centre forwards who are just going to come in and take the money? No, we will waste it on people maybe of the same age, but who are still young and hungry in their minds, that can help and develop the football club. But if we turn over £3 million and the percentages work out right, so don't take me absolutely literally, and we can afford a £2 million budget, then that's what we'll pay. So to cover anybody else's questions about my motives, which I've seen, my motives aren't to make profits out of Kidderminster Harriers Football Club. I want to reinvest into the first team and the group of players that are coming below and the staff that support those people, so we get great staff as well as great players and great teams. So the formula will be set and fans will be fully aware of what that formula is, and the P&L sheets will be a matter of public record, so we won't have anything to hide. You know, it's not difficult to find out how a limited company trades, so what's the point of us trying to hide it? You know, so we will be open and honest with our support base. But if we do start making good profit from the initiatives that we're putting together, then that will go into the club and into the football team. But let's get there, because at the minute it's all pie in the sky. Let's get there, you know. And so if you're watching a 200,000 budget team that's punching above its weight, playing great football, and you like what you see, but you know you're going to lose 1 in 3, but it's a great product to watch, but you're confident that your fiver's going a long way, then great. If you're watching a 2 million budget team that's still punching above its weight, actually winning leagues now and progressing, then brilliant. But it'll be down to the formula that we set, and that's what we'll be looking to do. Put a figure out there for our fans that says, that's our profit, that's what we'll be spending on the team. The rest will be invested in the club to make sure that we've got some more talent and some good people supporting what we've got on the pitch.
You've said this is less of a 1-year project for you and more of a 10-year project minimum. Where would you have the club be in 10 years if you had your paradise, if you like?
It'll be in the Football League.
I'd like us to be. Anybody who sees us play knows can understand and sees what we are from the product we put on the pitch. Entertaining, athletic, professional, but people will look and say that's a kiddie team. That's what I want. I want us to have an identity. I don't want us to be, I've said before, I'll give it you again, bish bash bosh, 3 big uns up front, 4 big uns at the back, and it doesn't matter what you've got in midfield. I don't want that. I want a product that people are proud of. If that brings us Football League, or even higher, then brilliant. But at least we'll have a product that people are proud of. That's what I want. Everybody knows short-term gains, short-term solutions. They're out for us to see every week. And it's very difficult for us to be critical of what we're seeing when we are playing as badly and as crassly as everybody else. But I want us to be seen as, well, that's the kiddie way. That's what I want. That's what we all want, and that's what we all believe in. That don't come overnight. It doesn't come overnight, but that's what we'll be striving for. So that's 10 years. 10 years, 62. Should have the golf clubs out again. But that's what we'll be striving for. That everybody's proud of what they see and proud of what we are. That's what we'll be striving for.
Any final thoughts, Chairman? I'm conscious of taking up an hour of your time almost. So.
No, the only thing I'd finally say is, going back to the point that's just been raised in the last 5 minutes, is that there are very few, if any, football clubs that actually are making substantial amounts of money, that the chairman, owner, whoever is actually making money out of it. It's Colin's alluded to what we want to do going forward. Any profits that are made will go back into the football team, because it's got to be a win-win. Win-win is commercially successful, stability with the football club, longevity, but secondly, successful on the football park as well.
And those myths that you've alluded to about chairman and chief execs or whatever having financial advantages from a football club would disappear if the club were more transparent in those financial dealings, if you like, as you said.
Yeah, people. That's probably one for my book. People find out. Yeah, absolutely. Let's just be open and honest. Which is what I don't see any reason why you can't be.
I think our Christmas message, I still refer to that, tongue in cheek now, and trying to put a light tone to a very difficult last 24 hours. But our Christmas message is don't panic. It's in safe hands going forward, and we will get there. But it's unfortunately it's a bit of pain in the short term. But as I say, you can't make a good omelette without breaking the eggs, as they say.
Anything else, Colin?
No, I think we've covered it all. Let's get on and do it.